Thank you, Madam President. I would like my comments printed in the Journal.
Without objection, so ordered.
Over the last number of weeks, I have been working to exhume skeleton after skeleton out of Michigan's last in the nation lack of transparency cesspool. Skeletons like the $1 billion, often phantom, earmarked enhancement grants. The skeleton of the lack of transparency for our out-of-control near-monopoly utilities. The loudly rattling skeleton in the governor's closet moaning despondently about her trashed promise to institute FOIA in her office. And the literal skeletons of the many murdered children, victims of our diabolical CPS secrecy laws. The reforms I have been proposing are needed now more than ever. Detroit News reporter Craig Mauger reported just a few days ago that the same week that mass power outages hit the state of Michigan, State House Speaker Joe Tate's leadership fund reported receiving $20,000 from DTE's main political action committee. Mauger is spot on. So at about the same time, Speaker Tate was raising his hands to the heavens, assuring utility ratepayers that he would be taking a close look at the utilities and efforts to improve infrastructure and reliability. With his other hand behind his back, he was raking in the thousands of dollars from the Political Action Committee. While the thousands of families were without heat, power, energy, the Speaker was not without boodles of cash. A $58 million slush fund speaks a whole lot louder than the suffering poor and working class ratepayers. It's saying one thing publicly while raking in the cash behind the scenes. Or as the working class would likely say, he's shady as hell. If the Democrats were serious about transparency, instead of piously intoning their verbal support, they'd move on my bill, SB 296, which would establish political reporting requirements for utility providers. If you have a monopoly, you should be subject to oversight. But just as big a problem is the appointment of the Public Services Commission. This is a system rife with conflicts. Virtually nobody knows who these powerful titans are. And in the final analysis, you, the ratepayers, are paying their salaries and benefits, which come in well above a whopping $200,000 per year. But they are not elected. This must change. The PSC is an appointed board whose stated job is to serve the public by ensuring safe, reliable, and accessible energy and telecommunications services at reasonable rates. Well, ratepayer, is that what you've been experiencing? The PSC holds the power to tell you how much you must pay, who gets a piece of the money pie, and how much of that pie they really get. So piously pontificating your empathy for the poor rate-paying schlubs out there in flyover country, and then somersaulting around and raking in the cashola behind their backs simply must be called out. If the Democrats were serious about transparency, they'd move on my bills SB 297 and 8, which would require the Michigan Public Service Commission members to be elected by the people. But as we've seen, when the Democrats hear the word transparency, with their hair on fire, they instantly stampede off to hide out in the tall grass. There seems to be a total abhorrence for any transparency or ethics reform within the majority Democrat caucus, despite their endless hand-wringing over the years and verbal guarantees. If the Democrats are not just posturing about transparency, then let's get the job done. Enough of raising your arms to the heavens in a tearful supplication, praying for the strength to act on your promises, and then, behind the scenes, raking in the cash. Yes, Republicans have failed. Democrats are failing. Let's not fail. Let's get the job done.